Hey, greetings, Soul Tribe. This is Spirit, your cosmic mentor in the moment. Well, today I'm going to just share some tools of communication with you. And this is based on something called transactional analysis that was created by Berne. And Eric Berne, created this way of looking at, it's a form of psychotherapy, okay, based on 3 ego states that are developed. The kid ego state, which is about feelings. The adult ego state, which is our thoughts, the who, when, why, what, rational part of us, our ego states. And then the third is the parent ego state, and that's attitude. And it's split between a critical parent and a nurturing parent, okay? And so I've shared some things before with you regarding these ego states. And in this system of psychotherapy that Eric Berne created, he said that there's 9 complementary transactions and a transaction is a stimulus and a response when we're communicating with each other. And then there's 72 crossed transactions. And so what ends up happening, if you remember from some of the previous videos I've shared, is, we look in society because we're in a stroke economy, and a stroke means a unit of recognition. And strokes can either be negative units of recognition or positive units of recognition. And so we end up playing games because we don't really know how to ask for strokes. We don't know how to give them freely. We don't know how to give ourselves strokes, and we don't know how to reject unwanted strokes. Yet, so in the communication things that we do, there is a certain term that Eric Berne gave, which is called a discount. And so what happens when we're discounting, it means that some internal mechanism within us is minimizing the situation, another person, or the situation, another person, or ourselves. And a person discounts in direct proportion to their level of awareness. So he said the more that you discount, the lower your awareness is. And there are 4 types of awareness. And the first one is existence of stimulus, the problem, and then the options. The second one is the significance of the stimuli, the problems, and the options. The third one is change of possibilities of stimuli, options, or problems and options. And then the fourth is self and others. So that's discounting. And then there's accounting. And accounting is, by a process of accounting, we are holding ourselves and others accountable for our actions or their actions by using confrontation, pressure transactions, reminders to raise our awareness. And so if you're not familiar with what a pressure transaction is, that is when you ask somebody a question and they're answering from either their kid ego state, which is all feelings. Sometimes you have to keep they're deflecting, actually answering the real question. And so in a pressure transaction, you keep asking the same question in a very calm way. You keep asking the same question over and over again until you get a real, authentic answer from the other person's adult ego state, which is that critical awareness. And you do that by asking who, when, what, where questions. And sometimes in a pressure transaction, you might have to say the same question, the same exact words, 5 times before a person will actually respond in a real way. Because a lot of people will deflect, and they think that if they deflect it in different ways and say different things, then you'll give up trying to get an authentic or real action. So, and then there's grandiosity, which happens, and this is caused by an internal mechanism whereby people exaggerate and or distort some aspect of themselves, others, or the situation. So an example was, I was the only one there who understood anything. The significance of self and perception is maximized while others and their perceptions are minimized. So let me say that again. So what happens in grandiosity in communication is that a person will put significance on their self and their own perception, and they'll maximize it while they minimize everybody else's perception. Because I'm not going to get into it in this one now, but we're talking about the psychopathology in our country of the master-slave relationship. And so, in that stroke economy, there is one up and one down, and that's that it's racism, sexism, the isms, is that there's people who believe that they're one up and everybody else is one down. So that is very true of, of white supremacy, racism, like I said, sexism, there's ageism. And so if people are doing the grandiose part, it requires discounting. And so again, a discount, if you're talking with somebody and they're not listening, or trying to understand, or blowing it off what you're saying, it's a discount, and that's some internal mechanism. And you might discount people too. It happens just in conversations with people. Is that some internal mechanism either minimizes yourself, the other person, or the situation, or all three. Okay? And so I just wanted to share this. I know that there's times where when we are in certain relationships, whether that's romantic or it's coworkers or different things, there's a lot of discounting that goes on. And that pressure transaction is really great to get clarification, but also to hold people accountable and to confront people and to confront ourselves as well, or be, confronted in a healthy way to understand, how we're feeling, the kid ego state, what we're thinking, the adult ego state, and what our attitude is, parent ego state. So I hope this is helpful for someone out there. I know that it's been helpful for me to use transactional analysis throughout my life. And so I like to share these with you because it is about us becoming more aware. And, for a lot of, especially in the United States, and maybe it's in the world too, I don't know, I live in the United States, so is that a lot of people here, our kid ego state is really huge, which is the feeling part. And that is about, kids are all about immediate gratification. And so that's what works really great in a capitalist society, is to have everybody unaware and be in their feeling ego state, their kid ego state, because then they'll consume without thinking, and we'll just keep feeling bad, But if the adult and the ego state of who, when, why, what, where builds up within a person, then that person's awareness increases, and then there is less discounting of our own, minimizing ourselves, other people, the situation, or the grandiosity part. So I hope this is something that is interesting for whoever it resonates with. And I am just, the other thing that I'm going to remind you of is the drama triangle. If you remember me sharing this, when you're on the drama triangle, it's a victim, a rescuer, and a persecutor. And so when you're on it, you end up playing all three roles. At one point, you might be a rescuer for somebody, but then you end up playing a victim, and then you also end up playing the persecutor. And the only way to get off of the drama triangle is just to choose to not participate. You choose to not participate. And that might be, cutting off communication, or, whatever that might be for you, is just to get off so you're not on it at all or playing any of those roles. Okay, little TA for you. Transactional Analysis by Eric Berne. Check it out. It's super helpful. Tools for your own mind and emotional well-being. All right. Have a great day. Ciao to you.